So this is the 107 scrubber. This is a panel we're going to run through on both sides. Machine's all set up. Yep, okay. Run it through. So we're basically doing a light scrub on the panel. Oh, that's the, I'm sorry, you're right. So that's basically the, so we probably had to bear down a little bit on the other side. Because we got,
Yeah, I go down a little bit.
so let's brush adjust. So you went down a little bit more. And once the machine's set up, you just keep running panels through once you get the right setting done. You'll hear the board hit the brushes. And then you can see the meters moving. That's what you use as a gauge to tell how far you're bearing down. Yep, I get it. So that's kind of the surface finish you're going to get, that squiggly line. You could also make that disappear by simply shutting off the oscillation button. That will keep the brushes from doing this. Now the brushes are stationary. So we have controls. If you're only running a top side or bottom side, you could reduce that as well. Also, the water works on a solenoid valve, so when the machine turns on, the water comes on automatically. So now I'm going to shut the machine down. As you can see, the dryer is still moving. There's a reason for that. It's a heated dryer, so what it does is blow the heat out of the dryer. It's on a 2-minute delay, and then it'll shut off automatically when we're done. You also have forward and reverse on the machine. If a panel gets stuck in there, you can reverse it and bring it back out, or bring it forward, whatever you decide. So I'm going to hit the stop button. Now everything's done. The machine's shut down. There's two important things to know about this machine. And it's staggering the panel. So if you have smaller panels, say 12 inches by 12 inches, you always want to try to run it through the middle of the machine, but you also want to stagger your panels when you have smaller panels. So, for instance, you want to run a panel this way, and then you want to run the next panel this way, off to the side. And what you're doing by doing that is you're getting even brush wear across the brush, which is very important. Otherwise, what happens is the brush becomes mushroomed. So if you run the panels straight through the middle of the machine, you can imagine, the brush ends up doing one of these situations on a curve. So you always want to stagger the panels through the machine so you get nice, even brush wear across everything. And it's just a point that I make that a lot of people make mistakes, and that's why you wear out brushes so quickly. But anyways, that gives you a good idea of how the machine works. You know, also it's got all the safeties on it. If you lift the cover, the machine's going to shut down and shut off the water and all that good stuff. These are your grease fittings here. You'll see it in the manual how often you grease it up, but what these grease fittings do is they run throughout the whole machine. You'll see little tubes in there, and the little tubes, when you pump the grease in, feeds it into different areas of the machine, the bearings and so forth. But in the manual, you'll see that listed there how often that's done. You don't want to over grease, that's for sure, but you don't want to under grease either. It's just a maintenance feature, really. All you have to do for this machine is the main power is here. I can open up the cabinet. There's your power. There's your water inlet there. That works on a solenoid, so when you turn the water on, it automatically comes on. When you shut the machine down, it automatically goes off. That's your drain there. Wherever you want to put the drain, goes into the floor, goes to waste treatment, whatever you wish. But that's really about it on the ChemCut 107 scrubber. I've pretty much demonstrated how they work. These are your brush adjustments. You know, it's clearly marked where your pressures are. Cranking it this way, more pressure, less pressure, less pressure, more pressure. As long as your operator doesn't bear down on the panel too much. You don't want to you want to kiss the surface pretty much like what you're seeing here. And you can watch the meters too. If the meters are pegged, you got way too much pressure on the panel. But you know, if they're just barely moving, that's about what you want. You want to just kiss the panel. Once you're set up, you can run multiple panels through the machine, and that's really about it. So different thicknesses are going to require different brush adjustments. You run one panel, you check it. If it looks good to you, then you move forward. Most of the scrubbing is done prior to, you know, our operation in the PCB industry, which is, you know, the cleaning process prior to dry film or any type of scrubbing action you need prior to, you know, plating or anything like that. But the main purpose is really dry film, which you get a nice clean surface so you get the dry film to adhere to the board. There are a number of ways of doing that, but you know, that's a 320 grip brush in there. It's not too aggressive, but it's aggressive enough to clean a panel for sure. And really that's about it. So I'm going to stop the video, and again, this is a rebuilt 107 scrubber from ETI in Hudson, New Hampshire. All right, so I think that explains everything on the 107 scrubber.